Hello, hello, hello. This is Attorney Mike Gravlin coming to you from Chicago. As usual, we've had a busy day. We had a nice guilty verdict, but I didn't forget. We have to check in with Mr. Lau. I brought my there. This is all Alyssa's fault. Here, Alyssa, I brought my snacks. It's hard to see. Got a little Dubai chocolate for the event. I know it's gonna be a tough slog. It always is with Mr. Lau, but then fun stuff happens. For those of you who may not have seen it, in our last episode, we got a new character. I can't remember her name, some old biddy. We're gonna call her Karen. She shows up, and I suspect she's the owner of the property. Let's see what Mr. Lau's up to today.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I can see that Mr. Lau has entered the virtual courtroom. We have Mr. Reynolds here in the courtroom as well as Officer Croteau. So I believe that we're ready to proceed. Is that correct, Mr. Reynolds?
I believe so, Your Honor.
And Mr. Lau, are you ready to proceed for the trials for this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Michael Lau. Yes.
Okay, good. I have on my list, I believe there were eight cases that are scheduled for trial today. My inclination would be to go from the oldest to the newest, which is, I think, the way we've been working this, which would mean we'd be starting with ticket number that ends in 4244, and that is from October 24th of 2024. The charge is parked while inoperable under section 7623 of the Boulder Revised Code. And we would start with that. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Reynolds? First of all,
that's fine by me, Your Honor.
and does that make sense to you, Mr. Lau?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Since we've been through this before, I think we could go ahead and get started, but I just want to make sure I don't rush anybody. Is everybody ready to proceed?
Yes.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Reynolds, I'll have you go ahead and go first then, if you want to call your witness.
Well, the way we had done it last time was because of the way the cameras work. Mr. Officer Croteau, if you want to go sit over here, and you can testify from this. Okay. This table so that Mr. Lau can see you.
Thank you for remembering that, Mr. Reynolds. I'd forgotten that was a challenge, but that makes good sense to me.
And I might just remain seated.
That's fine.
Okay.
Better for vlog back with Mike.
And I'll be swearing Officer Croteau. Officer, if you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. And whenever you're ready, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Officer Croteau. Can you state your first name and spell your last, please?
Yeah, my name is Sean. My last name is Croteau. It's Croteau.
And Officer Croteau, where do you work?
I work for the City of Boulder in the Community Vitality Department, Parking Services.
And what do you do for parking services?
I enforce parking regulations within the City of Boulder, and I also work on special events.
And in your capacity to enforce parking regulations, what are like some of the parking regulations that you enforce?
Pretty much anything pertaining to safety and abandonment, or even permits, pay stations, stuff like that.
And were you working for parking services on October 24th of last year at about 10:24 in the morning?
Yes.
And did you happen to find yourself out at 290 Pawnee?
Yes.
And is 290 Pawnee in the City of Boulder, state of Colorado?
Yes.
Oh, does he have a different shirt?
And are you familiar with 290 Pawnee?
Yes.
That's very
How is it
exciting.
that you're familiar with 290 Pawnee?
I've served parking complaints that we have received in that location. So that's the extent of my me being out there, is just enforcing complaints.
Okay. And on, I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 5. And I'm going to just display it up on the screen, and this has been shared with Mr. Lau. Officer Crito, I just want you to look at these images on People's Exhibit 5 briefly here. I'm just going to kind of scroll through them so that you can review them. Do you recognize these images from People's Exhibit 5?
Yes.
And how is it that you recognize them?
These appear to be photos for my citation that day for this vehicle.
Does People's Exhibit 5 appear to be a fair and accurate representation of the vehicle as it appeared on October the 24th of last year?
Yes.
I move to admit People's Exhibit 5 into evidence.
Mr. Lau, do you have any objection to Exhibit 5 being admitted into evidence?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 5 will be admitted.
So Officer Crito, in this case, in this matter, what were you investigating a violation of any city of Boulder's parking laws?
Yes, this vehicle was under a watch list for not having current registration and being parked in the city right of way.
And so this first image here, what are we looking at?
So this is going to be a picture of the temporary license plate that was affixed to the vehicle in question.
And was the license plate expired?
Yes.
And when did it expire?
August 8th of 2024.
So is it fair to say that this vehicle was displaying expired plates and they had been expired for roughly 6 weeks?
Correct.
And who is this? Who are these plates registered to?
Mr. Michael Lau.
At this time, I don't have any other questions for Officer Crito.
All right. Mr. Lau, do you have any questions for Officer Crito?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Officer. So this is a ticket issued on October 24th at approximately 10:54 a.m. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, this is the ticket that has the ending in 244, right? Based on the files the city attorney's office sent me, there may be a similar one that ends in 231, but I'm perfectly okay with addressing this specific one right now, whether it's a duplication or not. We will, I guess, get to the other one. So, Mr. Officer, you were not there by yourself alone that day. There were at least 2 or 3 or maybe 4 other officers, including your lead team with you that day. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I also would like to bring it to the court's attention that on October 24th, sure, of course, I was present. That vehicle was towed unlawfully against the court's do not tow order, and that vehicle was subsequently returned at the city's cost, whatever, back to the same location. So the court has ruled on that. I have, but there was no case number.
There's an objection for Mr. Reynolds. Let me just rule on that.
Okay.
The objection was that this was not testimony. As you'll recall, Mr. Lau, you can ask the officer questions during cross-examination, and then you'll be allowed in your own part of your case to offer testimony. So I'm going to sustain the objection and then just redirect you to ask questions of the officer. Then when it's your turn to testify, you can certainly offer whatever you want me to consider.
Yes, I will. Sorry, I will redirect. Go back to ask the officer questions. Then, thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
So, Mr. Officer, once again, the ticket was because it was what? Sorry, one of those 1 or 2 categories that your department feels that you can tow, regardless of whether it's an expired temp tag or whatever. Sorry, I'm not looking at the file myself right now.
Ask a question.
Scaffold or whatever type of category. Is that correct? That's the ticket you issued.
So yeah, pertaining to 4244, you're asking about, was the ticket in tow tied to an inoperable process? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, correct, it was.
Okay. So, and the, is there a reason with the lead of your team there, and as well as 3 or 4 other officers there at that very moment? Is there a specific reason why the ticket is issued by you and not by a more senior member of your team?
So yeah, I am a more senior member of our team, so I was there. We did have our team
Pardon
lead
me, I
there.
did not know.
It's okay. No, yeah. So we did have our team lead there as well.
Okay.
Reason why there was such a presence was because we had
He wants to
been told by
supervise
the
it.
courts to hold off on enforcing that area. And we had been accruing not only a large amount of complaints, but a large amount of work to be done in that location. So that was the reason why we had so many officers.
Thank you. I have no further questions for the officer.
Thank you. Anything else from you, Mr. Reynolds?
No, Your Honor.
People rest?
We rest.
All right, Mr. Lau, the people have rested their case. It is your opportunity now on this particular case, if you'd like to offer any kind of evidence, including your own testimony. Have you decided whether you'd like to testify on this particular parking citation?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right, if you'll raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Lau.
So, as I stated earlier, but at an inopportune time. So this vehicle was on the court no tow list, and it was still towed that day, right after the tickets was issued. I was there. I conveyed that information to the lead person who was there. Of course, I was told and was simply told that the vehicle will be towed regardless of whatever. Even after I mentioned that both Mr. Reynolds, of course, should have informed that the department that is on the no tow list, and of course that I do have the copy email confirmation from the court that that vehicle is on the no tow list. Once again, the whatever reason the parking may have decided to use to write the ticket and then to tow the vehicle was returned the same day back to the same location.
Relevance.
There's an objection on relevance. What relevance does the fact that the vehicle got towed have to the issue of whether there was a violation of the ordinance of it not being properly registered? What's the relevance of that?
When Your Honor, when your court has issued a no tow in writing, and that information has been communicated to
It was a request.
the city prosecutor office, and the parking lead officer there told the police that responded that day that Mr. Reynolds told them they can tow. So it sure is a clear abuse of authority and actually completely ignoring the court's order. So the ticket was to enable what I would still maintain as an illegal tow, unlawful tow of the vehicle, and because the vehicle was returned by the court, I believe that more than validates my claim in this case.
I'm going to sustain the objection. The two issues are separate. And of course, I'm not looking directly at, no one has provided me the court's order regarding the reimbursement or the getting the vehicle returned back in the court, absorbing the cost of returning that vehicle that was towed. But those are separate from us. Even if the court had said, do not tow this particular vehicle, that doesn't prohibit the parking services folks from issuing citations for violations of city ordinances. That there was never a court order saying that they could not issue citations. And so I agree with Mr. Reynolds that it's not relevant. Any other testimony that you want to offer?
No, Your Honor. Once again, yeah. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any cross-examination, Mr. Reynolds?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Defense rested his case then, Mr. Lau, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, time for any closing arguments from either party.
We waive our closing argument.
Did you want to give a closing argument on this case, Mr. Lau?
Yes, my closing argument is simply that the both parking truly abused their authority and issued a ticket to allow them to initiate the tow. While I understand the court did not tell them, forbid them to issue any tickets, the fact that they purposely wrote the tickets so they can tow the vehicle is definitely an abuse of power. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm going to take a moment just to pull up, if I can find the written order from that first case. It may take me a moment to find it.
It was roughly 2 days after that date, after the 24th, something like that.
Do you have a case number? Are you looking at the order itself?
No, there was specifically no case number.
Your Honor, I can email it to you and Mr. Lau right now.
If you would. I didn't anticipate that would be brought up, but I do want to clarify for the parties and make sure that I'm addressing that issue for both folks from Community Vitality and also for Mr. Lau. And we can just upload that into this case when it gets emailed. So if can you email that to Sabrina and then she'll just upload it, Mr. Lau?
Yeah.
Yeah, since everything moved.
Your Honor, I do recall most of the content of that letter, but I'm not well averse to be flipping back and forth with the Zoom call. So I will just stay with you this way.
Yeah, just give me a moment or two. As soon as it's been uploaded to the system, I'll review it and make sure everybody understands what the court's purpose was and what it meant.
I just got that. Give me just a moment.
I want to say I know I had issues, but I have good intentions.
Right, so that's uploaded into the case. Hold on, my computer just glitched out. I may not be there. Give me one more moment. All right, now it's in there, sir.
Let me refresh and I'll pull it up.
I saw that. Somebody
Okay, I
sent
do
it to
have
me
the
in
order, so I'm
IG.
just going to read from it. This was an order regarding the tow of a vehicle on October 24th of 2024.
That goes
On
to trial. I
October
want to see it.
23rd of 2024, the court conducted an in-court meeting with defendant Michael Lau regarding vehicles for which Mr. Lau was the registered owner. Following that hearing, the court entered a judicial order in the court's T2 parking database. The order was also emailed to Mr. Lau and the city attorney. It pertained to the following license plates: 638-6618, 676-7552, 615-1264, 637-9675, and read as follows: do not tow until October 26, 2024. Defendant appeared and presented email communication showing that he is in the process of securing storage space for 4 to 6 vehicles. No lease yet signed, but some evidence of good faith effort to remedy the issue. Over a CA objection, court has agreed to allow 2 additional days for defendant to move this vehicle to storage. Judge Khan has not made any commitments regarding any other vehicles. And then it goes on to say, so that was an order that I put into the T2 system. On October 24th, the vehicle with the temporary plate 6379675 was towed at the requested parking services. It is the court's understanding that the tow occurred based upon parking services determination that the vehicle was inoperable as defined by the Boulder Revised Code. In the court's view, the towing of this vehicle should not have occurred, but it was not the fault of parking services. Parking services was not aware of the court's October 23, 2024 order because parking services is not required to check the court's T2 database before effectuating a tow for an inoperable vehicle. In light of the fact that the court had advised Mr. Lau that this vehicle would not be towed, the court decided to pay for the cost of the tow and to also pay to have the vehicle towed back to the area where it had been towed earlier in the day. This order is offered as formal explanation of the court's actions on October 24th. I read that simply to make sure that it's very clear that in that order, I wanted to make sure everyone understood it was not parking services error, nor Mr. Lau's error on that date with respect to that vehicle being towed. It was my intention to give Mr. Lau a couple of days. I did not realize that there was the possibility that the vehicle could still be towed for other reasons and did not anticipate. This is a fairly unique circumstance for the court to be in the situation that we were in. Did not anticipate the possibility of parking services going over and finding that the vehicle was inoperable and then having the authority under the inoperable ordinance to go ahead and tow it, and they wouldn't have to check the T2 system before doing so, where otherwise I would anticipate they would be checking. When someone is on the tow list, they have to check the T2 system and contact the court before they tow. And that's why I was under the impression that they'd be checking. But there are other ways that they go about their business for towing vehicles. And that was the only method that I was thinking about when I gave the grace to Mr. Lau was the method that they would have to check with the court first because the vehicle could be on the tow list. I had forgotten about the possibility that they might tow a vehicle because it was inoperable. And so it wasn't their error. And it's not, and I've already determined it's not relevant to the determination of whether there was a violation that day. And that's why the court took on its own to pay the expense for the tow and to pay the expense of getting the vehicle back to Mr. Lau to put him back in the position that he was in prior to that vehicle being towed that morning. So I wanted to share that to make sure that everybody understood that this was not something that in the court's view that it was an abuse of power by parking services. Under the ordinances, they do have the authority when a vehicle is inoperable and under that provision in the code to tow a vehicle. They do not need to consult with the court and make sure that a vehicle is on the tow list. If a vehicle is going to be towed because it has overdue fines that have not been paid, then it is the obligation of parking services to check with the court and to look into the T2 database to see if the vehicle remains on the tow list. But this was not why the vehicle was towed that day. It wasn't on the tow list for unpaid fines, or at least wasn't eligible to be towed for unpaid fines because I had granted some grace for the unpaid fines. I wanted to clarify that because I didn't want Mr. Lau to have the impression that parking services had done anything unlawful on that particular date or in violation of a court order. In this particular case, what I have in case number 4244 is evidence that on October 24th of 2024, Mr. Lau's vehicle at 290 Pawnee was parked with a temporary plate that expired on August 8th of 2024. It was clearly did not have current registration or tags. And for that reason, the court does find that it was in violation of section 7623A4 of the Boulder Revised Code. And I will find the defendant guilty of that violation. Mr. Lau, before we go on, do you have any questions about what I just described as far as either the findings on the case here or the explanation for why that vehicle had been previously granted the grace and the court's paying for the return of the vehicle?
Thank you, Your Honor. I do understand at least as much as possible what you have just ruled. But to me, when it's really me, in this case, the defendant, and that specific vehicle being subjected to multiple citations and so forth, and when the court has ruled, you know, the 2-day grace or whatever terminology is being, but as well as the border parking can have a separate their own process that allows them to not even consider anything, a ruling that the court has made already.
What I was telling you is they would have no way to know. They would have no way to know.
Mr. Reynolds, although he left earlier prior to that specific court ruling, I understand the court has informed him. So and prior to him leaving that trial, he was to inform parking. So I don't know where the gap in the loop is with the information sharing, because if it is a court ruling, I consider that supreme. So and border parking being very good and creative in finding ways that they can not be accountable to the court and still tow. To me,
I think I've explained it to you.
Confuse me on the municipal justice system.
I think I've explained it to you, but I've made it pretty clear that they would have no way of knowing what my order was because they had no reason to check T2 for that particular tow. That's the only way that the order would have been communicated to them, was in the T2 system. And because they were going through a process that did not require them to look in that system, they would not have known of my order, which was issued just the night before. So I appreciate what you're saying. And obviously, it's not my job to try to convince you one way or the other. I wanted to make one opportunity for you to hear that so that you could at least know that from the court's perspective, this was not the fault in any way of Parking Services. If there's any fault to be attributed, it would be on myself for not realizing that there was another way that a vehicle could be towed other than under the tow operation when someone is on the pickup list for not paying fines. I think we've spent enough time on it, but I wanted to at least make sure that I'd shared with you, not only in writing, but orally. I've done that. So let's go on to the next case, which is the one that ends in 4294.
I need him to explain it again.
From October 29th of 2024.
Sorry, Your Honor. You have ruled that, yes, I am responsible for that violation.
Yes.
I don't think you rule on the validity of the fine or whether you will waive the fine.
I don't have any intention to waive the fine. I've set the fine. The fine is set by city ordinance. So I can just tell you what it is. Let's see, 4244. Current balance on that is $45.
Thank you, Your Honor. And actually, just in closing with that particular situation that day, I'm actually most grateful to the court staff in resolving that issue, because I actually did not approach the court, and somehow the staff found out, whether it's through border police or whomever, and they were very efficient and very courteous, and was able to resolve that whole ordeal that same day. So I actually wish to express my true appreciation for the efficiency and the courtesy and all that wonderful stuff that the court staff was able to offered that day. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Lau. Okay, let's go on to the next case then. A case number that ends in 4294. October 29th of 2024 is the date of the alleged violation. This is an allegation under section 7623B that a vehicle was parked within the yard setback on that particular date. Are the parties ready to proceed on that case? Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lau, are you ready on that case?
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, thank you.
All right, great. Do we have an opening statement from the city?
We waive, Your Honor.
Mr. Lau, did you want to give an opening statement on that one?
No, Your Honor.
First witness for the prosecution.
Thank you, Your Honor. We call Officer Cruto.
All right, Officer Cruto, I'll just remind you that you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
We'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the introductory testimony of Officer Cruto, where he works, how long, what his jobs are, and such.
Any objection, Mr. Lau, to me taking judicial notice of his prior testimony?
None, Your Honor.
All right, I will take judicial notice of that prior testimony. Go ahead when you're ready, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Cruto, were you back out at 290 Pawnee in the city of Boulder, state of Colorado on October 29th at about 11:18 in the morning?
Yes.
And were you continuing to do some parking enforcement there?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 6. If you could just glance up at the screen, this information's been shared with Mr. Lau. Officer Cruto, do you recognize these images as I'm kind of going through them here?
Yes, they appear to be the photos in the citation that I wrote that day.
Do they appear to be an accurate depiction of the scene as it appeared on October 29th?
Yes.
I move to admit People's Exhibit 6 to the evidence.
Any objection to Exhibit 6, Mr. Lau?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 6 will be admitted.
And Officer Cruto, in the first image in People's Exhibit 6, in the center there's a license plate, correct?
Yes.
And it's affixed to what?
It's going to be affixed to, looks like to be a wall on a trailer.
And that license plate there, who did it come back registered to?
Michael Lau.
And this second image here, is that a kind of a bit wider image of the trailer?
Yes, it's showing it as well as I can in the scene where it laid that day.
And this trailer, as I scroll down here, next to the yellow forklift, where is that trailer parked?
It's going to be on the property of 290 Pawnee on the 4600 Sioux Drive side.
And is it parked on the street?
No, it would be in the yard.
Okay. And did you issue a ticket that day?
Yes,
What did you issue a ticket for?
for a vehicle parking yard.
I don't have any other questions for Officer Cruto.
All right, Mr. Lau, do you have any questions for Officer Cruto?
No, Your Honor.
All right, any other evidence for the people?
We rest, Your Honor.
People have rested their case. Mr. Lau, do you want to put on any evidence in that particular case?
No, Your Honor.
Closing arguments, Mr. Reynolds?
We waive our closing argument.
Mr. Lau, did you want to make a closing argument on that case?
No, Your Honor.
The city has proved to the court that in this particular case on October 29th of 2024, that there was a trailer that was registered to Mr. Lau that was parked in the yard. That is a violation of section 7623B of the Boulder Revised Code. So I will find the defendant guilty of that charge. And I'm just going to go back and take a quick look at what I see as the current amount of the balance on that.
I have that up for you, $75 for that ticket.
Okay, thank you. You've got that on the screen over here.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that has a balance of $75. So once I found that defendant guilty of that, that's the balance on that one. And let's move on to the next, which is case number ends in 4295. That's also from October 29th of 2024. This is perhaps a different vehicle, but it's the same charge of a vehicle parked within this yard setback, a violation of section 7623 of the Boulder Revised Code. Are the parties ready to proceed on that case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lau, are you ready to proceed on that one?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Any opening statement from either party?
We waive.
No, Your Honor.
All right, and then we've got Officer Cruto at the witness table. I'll just remind you, you're still under oath, Officer Cruto.
Yes, sir.
Whenever you're ready,
Thank
Mr.
you, Your Honor.
Reynolds.
We call Officer Cruto and ask the court to take judicial notice of all the introductory testimonies we did in the previous case.
Any objection to me taking judicial notice of the prior testimony, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, without objection, I will take a judicial notice of the prior testimony from Mr. Officer Cruto. Go ahead when you're ready, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you. Officer Cruto, on October the 29th, did you do some additional parking enforcement at 290 Pawnee in the city of Boulder, state of Colorado?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 7. And if you wouldn't mind just glancing up at the screen, and this has been provided to Mr. Lau as well. So I guess I'm going to scroll down a little. So yeah, I'm going to scroll down so you can view People's Exhibit 7. So I guess I'll go all the way down to this image. Well, first of all, Officer Cruto, do you recognize People's Exhibit 7?
Yes.
How is it that you recognize it?
They appear to be the photos in the citation that I wrote that day.
At this time, I'd offer People's Exhibit 7 to be admitted into evidence.
Mr. Lau, do you have any objection to Exhibit 7?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 7 will be admitted.
Thank you. Officer Cruto, if you can see my cursor up on the screen, what is this orange object here?
This is going to be the front end view of the orange trailer. Where your cursor is at current, or where it was just at, was where the front of it hooks onto a tailgate.
Okay, so kind of on the left side of the orange
Yes,
object, kind of closest to the forklift is the
Yes.
tailgate.
correct.
And where you mentioned it's a trailer, where is this trailer parked?
This trailer is parked in the yard of 290 Pawnee on the 4600 Sioux Drive side.
And as I scroll up here, take some more pictures. I want to get to this image, the very first image. What are we looking at in this first image here?
But that's going to be the temporary plate that was affixed to this trailer when I wrote the citation.
And who is this plate? Who did this plate come back registered to?
Michael Lau.
And the last image here, this orange object in the last image, is that the trailer in question in this case?
Yes,
Is it parked next to the trailer that we just had in the other case here, the cream colored?
correct. Yeah, they were parked next to each other on that day.
I don't have any other questions for Officer Cruto.
Mr. Lau, do you have any questions for Officer Cruto?
No, Your Honor.
We rest.
All right, the people have rested their case. Did you want to give any testimony in this case, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so the defense is rested. Any closing argument from either party on this one?
We waive, Your Honor.
Do you want to give any closing argument, Mr. Lau?
Yes, Your Honor, I do in this case.
Go
So, yes, this specific trailer was actually parked, of course, next to the other one that with the ticket ending in 294. So this trailer ticket was 295, and there is it is actually my true intention to park them on the side yard, and also to have a forklift, in essence, blocking easy access to them, only because defendant in this case have learned that Boulder Parking has other means of towing vehicles, so it was my not so successful attempt to slow them and possibly prevent them from towing. I do not dispute the fact that it was in the side yard, Your Honor. So
Okay.
that's the only statement I wish to make. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I think the evidence does establish that there was a violation. I will find the defendant guilty of having a vehicle parked in the side yard in violation of section 7623B of the Boulder Revised Code on October 29th of 2024. And it looks like Sabrina has that one pulled up for me. Is that correct, Sabrina?
That is correct.
And that also has a $75 balance on that. So just to let you know where that stands. And that takes care of case number 4295. We can now turn to case that ends in 4296. This is also from October 29th of 2024. The allegation is the all-night parking of a truck or trailer prohibited by section 7.6. I believe that's 24 of the Boulder Revised Code on October 29th of 2024. Are the parties ready to proceed on that case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lau, are you ready to proceed on that one that ends in 4296?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any opening statement from either side? Mr. Reynolds?
We waive, Your Honor.
Mr. Lau?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on the information that, of course, the ticket I've received much earlier, and also the information sent by the city prosecutor office, yes, I understand it's supposed to be a violation of 7624B40, but it's something about the right of way. I failed to see a properly tagged trailer behind a properly tagged vehicle without any encroachment close to anything else would be prohibited in the city right of way. So that's my my query on why the ticket was even issued.
Okay. Well, we'll see what evidence
That's
we
it,
have.
Your
then.
Honor.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Lau. First witness for the prosecution.
Thank you, Your Honor. We call Officer Cruto.
Now, Officer Cruto, I'll just remind you, you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor. And we'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the introductory testimony of Officer Cruto.
Any objection to me taking judicial notice of the prior introductory testimony from Officer Cruto, Mr. Lau?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, I will take judicial notice of that prior introductory testimony. Go ahead when you're ready, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Cruto, were you back out at 290 Pawnee in the city of Boulder, state of Colorado on October 29th of last year at about 11:22 in the morning?
Correct, yes.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit number 8. If you wouldn't mind just glancing up at the screen, and I'll share my screen, and this has also been provided to Mr. Lau. Officer Cruto, do you recognize these images here that are on the screen?
Yes.
How is it that you recognize them?
These are going to be photos that were taken for that citation that day.
And did you take them?
Yes.
At this time, I move to admit People's Exhibit 8 into evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Lau, to People's Exhibit 8 being introduced?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 8 will be admitted.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Reynolds, you can continue.
Officer Cruto, if you wouldn't mind looking at People's Exhibit 8, what are we looking at in this first image here?
There's a couple things you're looking at. This is going to be the license plate for this this trailer here. And then below that, you'll see that there's chalk on the tire, and the chalk from the tire is now on the street.
What is the, well, first off, this license plate here, did it come back registered to someone?
Yes, Michael Lau.
And then you mentioned chalk. Is, if you can see my cursor on the screen, is that what this yellow marking is on the ground, and then you can see a bit on the tire?
Yes.
What is that chalk for?
That was placed on the vehicle for abandonment. We do both the abandonment and the camper RV trailer watch, usually at the same time.
And so do you know when this chalk was applied?
As I'm looking, there was 2 separate occasions that chalk was applied. As I'm looking, on October 11th, and then also October 29th. So this chalk would have been applied on that day.
Okay. And what did you write this ticket for?
This was going to be for a camper trailer RV being stored in the right way.
And this second image here, what does this depict?
This is gonna be a picture of the trailer where it stood on that day.
Okay. You're, is it against city code to have a trailer parked on the street like this?
Yes.
And would that be, did you issue a ticket because it was there for a specific amount of time or it was just there at all?
So on October 14th, we started a watch for this trailer with a warning saying that this trailer is under watch. The comments for it was trailer parked over 48 hours on city street, prohibited.
Okay, so you just mentioned October 14th.
Correct,
You
yes.
said a watch was started on October 14th. And so what does that mean to have a watch started on October 14th?
So how we enforce the camper RV trailer citation is that we start with a warning, and then once that the vehicle itself, not specifically pertaining to the license plate, but the vehicle with the same VIN number, if that vehicle is on the street, per our checkup,
That's
it would
my
be in
question.
violation.
Okay, so you started the watch on October 14th
Yes,
and then the ticket came to be issued on October the 29th.
correct.
And what was it on October the 29th that led you to issue the actual ticket?
Per the camper RV trailer watch that was initiated on October 14th. This is what enacted the citation on that day.
Okay, so you previously had stated that the chalk in People's Exhibit 8, which I'll share up here again. And this is it here, the chalk here. So what day would you have, when you start the watch on October 14th, do you apply any chalk during that time?
So how we were enforcing camper RV trailers, there was no onus to say that chalk was needed. It just had to show that the vehicle just needs to be back on private property. So that when I had spoke initially, I had not seen the 29th abandonment process had started. So that chalk was written on that day.
On the 29th?
On the 29th, yeah,
Okay.
correct, yes.
So do you know if between October 14th and October 29th if this vehicle had moved at all?
I'm unsure if it had moved at all.
Okay. Do you know if it was on the 14th in the same position that it was found in the 29th?
I'm unsure.
Your Honor, I'm going to just move to dismiss this one.
Okay, I appreciate that, Mr. Reynolds. I think I'm just going to grant that motion to dismiss. And I'm not sure much more is required, but I probably will just add it. I think the court's ruling subsequent to what happened in October has changed perhaps everyone's view of what is required, at least from the court's perspective and perhaps the city attorney's perspective. But case number 4296 has now been dismissed. And so we can move on to case number 240231. This is from November 21st of 2024. This is a similar charge of no vehicle can be parked on a side yard. It's not the same charge as the last one, but the one similar to the other ones that we've seen. It's a side yard charge from November 21st of 2024. And I want to just check and see if the parties are ready to proceed on that. Mr. Reynolds?
0231, it appears as though, and this is my fault, the information, the discovery that I had provided for Mr. Lau is duplicative for the very first ticket that we dealt with today, which would have been 4244. So we provided discovery for 0231 erroneously. So I would move to dismiss this one as well.
In other words, you weren't able to provide the correct
discovery. And I think Mr. Lau referenced this at the beginning, that there seemed to be duplicativeness with the very first ticket that we.
Yes.
And I think that's because our discovery was duplicative.
Okay, I'm going to grant the city's motion to dismiss in that case. And then that will put us on to case number 24C7, 0235. The last four digits are 0235, also from November 21st. And this is an all-night parking of a truck or trailer charge, a violation of section 7624B of the older revised code.
I apologize, Your Honor.
And if you need to take a few minutes, that's fine, Mr. Reynolds, to see if this is one that you could prove.
It's another one. So do you know if we'll have to prove this had not moved? Okay, we'll move to dismiss this one too.
All right, so case number 0235 is also being
Your Honor,
dismissed.
may I have explanation from the prosecutor on why they're dismissing it? I do have valid concerns about that ticket, but in this case, I would like to know why the city is
God, what an
dismissing
idiot.
this specific ticket.
The answer is that we don't believe we can prove that the vehicle had not been moved 72 hours, 48 hours before.
I would say no.
issuance of the ticket.
None of your damn business.
Thank you.
I don't owe you an
Court's going to grant that
explanation.
request to dismiss. And that leads us to the next case, which is case number 0263. This is a charge of having a vehicle parked in a side yard on December 3rd of 2024. Are both sides ready to proceed on that?
We are ready on this one.
And how about for you, Mr. Lau?
Yes, I'm ready, Your Honor.
All right, this is 0263. Any opening statement from the city?
We waive.
Any opening statement from you, Mr. Lau?
My open statement in this case is that yes, that's my trailer that was parked in a side yard. So I thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
We are ready to call Officer Crutel.
Okay. Officer Crutel, I'll just remind you, you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr.
Thank
Reynolds.
you, Your Honor. And we would ask the court to take judicial notice of Officer Crutel's previous introductory testimony.
Any objection to me taking judicial notice of that prior testimony, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I will take judicial notice of the prior testimony. In this case, go ahead when you're ready, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Crutel, were you back out at 290 Pawnee in the city of Boulder, state of Colorado on October the 2nd of last year at about 2:28 in the afternoon?
I'm sorry, what date?
Did I say, I think I meant to say December 2nd of last year at 2:28 in the afternoon?
So was it, the document that I have here has a different date.
Okay, well, let's just confirm that we're talking about the right ticket in this case.
Okay,
Is it ending in 263?
correct, yes.
Okay,
I issued this citation, correct.
okay.
And I have December 3rd as the date of the alleged violation. Oh, do I have that right?
December 2nd.
Okay, I
is
think
what
you typed in December 3rd on this chart you gave me, but that's
My
December.
apologies, sir.
That's okay. So it is December 2nd.
That was me, yes.
Okay. And I'm going to share with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 3. If you just glance at the screen. And a number of pictures here. I apologize for the motion sickness. Officer Crutel, if you could just look at the screen up here at People's Exhibit 3, that's been marked. Do you recognize these images as I scroll through them?
Yes, they appear to be the photos that were attached to the citation I wrote to this vehicle on that day.
Okay. And do they appear to be a fair and accurate representation of the scene as it appeared on December the 2nd of last year?
Yes.
I move to admit People's Exhibit 3 into evidence.
Mr. Lau, any objection to People's Exhibit 3?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 3 will be admitted.
Officer Cruto, in this first image here, there's a license plate. Who did this license plate, or what was this license plate attached to?
This license plate was attached to a trailer that was parked in the side yard of 290 Pawnee.
And who did this vehicle come back registered to?
Michael Lau.
And you just scroll down. All right, so next to the yellow forklift that's on the right of the 4th page of prosecution, People's Exhibit 3, the cream boxy looking thing, what is that?
That's going to be the trailer that the citation was linked to.
Okay, and that trailer is parked,
It's going to be parked on the property of 290 Pawnee on the 4600 Sioux Drive side.
okay. Was it parked in like a driveway?
It was in the side yard.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for Officer Cruto.
Mr. Lau, do you have any questions for Officer Cruto?
No questions, Your Honor.
And we rest.
People have rested. Do you want to offer any testimony on this case, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
All right, defendant has rested. Any closing statement from the city?
We waive, Your Honor.
Do you want to give a closing statement, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I do find that defendant did violate section 7623 of the Boulder Revised Code on December 2nd of 2024 by being the registered owner of a vehicle that was parked within the side yard of a yard instead of being on the street. And I am going to find the defendant guilty of that violation. And the current balance on that is $60. So a guilty finding will enter with the $60 balance. And we have just one case left, which is the one that ends in 0345. This is also an allegation of a vehicle being parked in the within the yard setback from December 13th of 2024. Are the parties ready to proceed on that case?
You are, Your Honor.
Mr. Lau, are you ready on
Yes.
that one? Okay.
Yes.
And we would call Officer Cruto to the stand.
Officer Cruto, I'll remind you, you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the introductory testimony of Officer Cruto.
Any objection to me taking judicial notice of that prior testimony, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
All right, I will take judicial notice of that prior testimony from Officer Cruto. Go ahead when you're ready, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Cruto, on December 13th of last year, did you find yourself at 290 Pawnee in the city of Boulder, state of Colorado, doing more parking enforcement?
Yes.
I'm going to share with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 4. And Officer Cruto, if you wouldn't mind just looking at the screen and reviewing these images from People's Exhibit 4 as I scroll through them. And this has been provided to Mr. Lau. Officer Cruto, do you recognize the images in People's Exhibit 4?
Yes, they appear to be the photos that were attached to the citation I wrote to this vehicle on that day.
They appear to be a fair and accurate representation of the scene on October 13th of last year.
December 13th last year.
That's
Yes.
what I meant. I don't know why I keep saying October, December of last year.
Correct. Yes, that
Thank you.
it is. Yeah.
And then I'd move to admit People's Exhibit 4 in evidence.
Mr. Lau, any objection to Exhibit 4?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 4 will be admitted.
Thank you. Officer Cruto, in this first image in People's Exhibit 4, what are we looking at here?
So this is going to be the temporary license plate that was affixed to the trailer in question.
And did this license plate come back registered to anyone?
Yes, Michael Lau.
What was the license plate affixed to?
It was affixed to a trailer that was parked in the side yard on that day.
And in the sixth image of People's Exhibit 4, on the left-hand side of the image next to the forklift, that white boxy looking thing, what is that?
It's going to be the front end of the trailer, and then below where your cursor is, it's going to be where the tongue of the trailer is to hitch onto the vehicle.
And this trailer was parked where on this property?
It was parked on the side yard on the 4600 Sioux Drive side.
And I don't have any other questions for Officer Kuto.
Mr. Lau, any questions for Officer Curto?
No, Your Honor.
All right,
And we rest.
people have rested their case. Mr. Lau, did you want to put on any evidence in this particular case?
No, Your Honor.
Defendant is rested. Any closing statement from the city?
We waive.
Any closing statement from you, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor.
I will find in this case that the defendant did violate section 7623 of the Boulder Revised Code on December 13th of 2024 by having a vehicle parked in the side yard at 290 Pawnee. Enter the guilty finding. The current balance on this case is $75. All right, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Sabrina, are there any other citations that are outstanding, parking citations for?
I don't believe so, if you have addressed everything on your list.
Yeah, I believe the last one that I had was December 13th, and has there been any that have been issued since December 13th?
That's, yeah, there has been none.
Okay, so that takes care of everything that was eligible for trial, Mr. Lau. And so it puts you in the position, obviously, of having a number of different vehicles that have outstanding citations that have been issued, and now with balances owed on those various vehicles. It concludes the testimony that's required for the trial today, so we can release Officer Cruto. I don't anticipate that there'll be any need for any further testimony from you, Officer. Thank you so much for your time on these cases.
Yes, Your Honor, I concur definitely. The officer did a fine job, but I would like the court to help me identify who this Michael Altenberg, CAO person is. I believe he's attending the.
Yeah, Mr. Altenberg is one of the city attorney's office's prosecutors. He's observing Mr. Reynolds.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I have never been acquainted with his name before prior to this.
Well, there you
Thank
go.
you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Okay, so that takes care of the trial related aspects. You're free to go, officer. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
And Mr. Reynolds, I'll leave it to you and Mr. Lau to have any additional conversations that you might want to have about the outstanding balances that are here. I wasn't intending on having that conversation with Mr. Lau today. Allow some of this perhaps to sink in as to where things stand. And then if there's going to be subsequent conversations about balances, I'll let you all have that. I think everybody knows that on occasion, defendants come to me once they have adjudicated or are willing to discuss resolution of their balances, that I'm open to doing that with people on occasion on my Friday afternoon dockets. This is somewhat unique in that there's been such a lengthy history that I really would want the city attorney's office to be engaged in that, because I think parking services, this case more than others, would at least want to communicate through the city attorney's office. But I still remain open to resolutions that could in some way help Mr. Lau resolve the outstanding balances that are now there, because these vehicles can now move forward to being on the tow list if the balances remain unpaid. And that would be the next step for the court, is to send out those courtesy notices for balances that are owed. And then vehicles could end up on the tow list. Those vehicles could then ultimately be towed, and also the balances could be sent to collections, none of which has to occur. And yet knowing that there is a fairly significant balance that's owed, not asking Mr. Lau to come up and just, okay, it's time for you to pay every single one of these. I want to be realistic about court expectations for that, but those are balances that are currently owed. And so I wanted to point that out to the parties.
And Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I understand that.
It would be the city's position for the court to kind of follow its standard operating procedures in terms of, the court's very good about working with folks who have financial circumstances that need to be taken into account, which we would not object to here. And so, using those standard practices and guiding principles, we wouldn't have any objection to, the court doing that sort of a thing. It just, in terms of doing something outside of those standard practices, we would ask the court not to do that.
And I appreciate that. And so and that's why I wanted to point this out. My standard practice is probably the least concrete practice that we have here at the court. It's one where I take into account people's financial circumstances, their prior tickets with the court, the ongoing nature of their violations, whether they've been able to solve the problem. For example, a college student who's getting tickets on the Hill because they're living in an area, but they now have a permit and they're no longer receiving citations. I take those kind of factors into account. A person who's no longer receiving tickets from the parking services for violations occurring, whether it's parking in the yard or parking with trailers in front of the house. Those would be things I'd be looking at. Obviously for Mr. Lau, that he hasn't had a ticket since December 13th, it looks like, at least for my purposes, what I'm seeing so far with parking. Those would be things I'd be taking into account. And then the ability to pay being the primary driving factor, and how someone might be able to work out a payment plan with the court. Those are all the types of things. And I'm certainly willing to engage in that type of process, knowing, and if the prosecutors want to be engaged with that, or if parking services wants to be able to be heard on that, I think it would be fair to them for city attorney's office to play a role, because you are representing, in a sense, the agency interests. And so I would certainly make that process available to the city attorney's office. If you don't want to be a part of it, that's perfectly fine as well. I would anticipate at some point Mr. Lau is going to want to come before the court and have some discussions about how we can move forward with these balances.
And I guess I suppose that with that being said, that I would want to be involved in any future discussions of, any sort of resolution of the bulk of his outstanding balance, because the thing that we want to avoid is that, this particular place in Boulder becoming a magnet for more vehicles that are not complying with the city's parking codes. That's what we want to avoid, is going back to what was happening in October and November of basically just having all sorts of vehicles around this property in the yard. So yes, so I guess I would want to be involved in any future.
And I think it would give the court some comfort level that I wasn't going to be doing something that later on the city would be up from the enforcement side would feel like, the judge has done something out of line. And so I think it would be better for all concerned to at least have the city attorney's office be on notice of when I'm going to have that discussion with Mr. Lau, so that they can participate. Doesn't mean I won't still be working with you, Mr. Lau, to try to work things out, but I would want to give city attorney's office a chance to weigh in as any relief that I would offer, because this is a very unique situation, at least give their position. And so what I would suggest is, now you should be able to kind of get a sense of exactly what your balance is on each of your vehicles. And our staff can work with you on that if you don't have a good sense of what that is. And then you also should be able to kind of get a sense of, all right, what vehicles am I in a place where I can start whittling away at paying the balances, and which ones am I going to hold off on? Which ones are more likely to get towed in the near term? Those are things that you can just determine. And then keeping on the outside is, do I want to end up on in collections on these and have this, be a situation where we don't put people in jail for not paying their parking tickets? We don't have the legal authority to do that, nor would I ever want to have that legal authority. That's not what I want to do with parking violations. But we do have the authority to send unpaid parking citations to collections, and we do have the authority to order the towing of a vehicle that's located that has unpaid citations, as long as we've complied with the ordinance to give you notice that it could be on the tow list. So those are the things that kind of sit out there for you to contemplate, but also knowing that the court is always inclined, if there are people like yourself who are wanting to find a way to resolve the obligations that they have with the court in a meaningful way, court's always inclined to work with people on payment plans and things of that nature. So to the extent you want to participate in something like that with the court on one of those Friday afternoon dockets, what I would want you to do is reach out at least a week or so before that Friday afternoon, so that we could at least put Mr. Reynolds on notice that we were going to have that conversation, and that would allow him to let somebody from parking services know. And if they wanted to at least be present while we had the conversation, I think that would be appropriate. Do you have any questions for me about that, Mr. Lau?
No, Your Honor. In fact, the court staff has provided me information that it's about two weeks old now. And of course, maybe I can reconcile some of the changes in the amount after today, or of course, or maybe I may need her help again to get an update. But yes, Your Honor, as Your Honor, as you recall, back in October, of course, when one of the vehicles was towed, it just happened that I was able to attend court, and of course, Your Honor, you have of course made a ruling, and I paid the fine and so forth, and was able to subsequently retrieve that specific truck. And of course, I am still definitely very receptive to working out some type of arrangement, but it's less I can do based on my very limited financial means. However, I have shown my good faith, and I've actually done so in the past. The vehicles that were so-called accumulated actually since June was to satisfy another issue that is also with the court, but a completely separate issue. And since that other case has been mostly resolved, well, at least has progressed a little bit more, there hasn't been the need for all these so-called umpteen vehicles there to load things and move them out of the way. So thank you, Your Honor, and thanks to the court for your understanding.
Okay, good. So, and I would suggest demonstrating continued good faith might be a good thing to do for the next month or so while things are going on with respect to that property, making sure that you're, from a parking perspective, following through with not having any new citations, so that the cases are where you are the defendant, the owner of these vehicles, you can continue to show no new violations since December 13th. That would be something that I can take into account when having discussions with you, whenever that date is, on the parking balances that are owed. So continue to do what you can to not have any new parking citations. That's a big deal, because that's probably the primary driver of me being lenient with respect to how I approach balances. It's like, okay, the purpose of parking fines is to get people to comply with parking rules. And so if we can get people to comply and they're doing what they need to do, then I might feel a little more comfortable in being lenient on the balances that are owed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds, and thank you all for making this a relatively efficient day.
Thank you, Mr. Lau.
Thank you.
All
Goodbye.
right, take care, everyone. We'll go off the record.
Mr. Reynolds. Yeah, goodbye.
And there you have it. Mr. Lau continues. He got some wins today. He was racking up the victories. All right, so what's going on here? I need a theory. I have not watched ahead. I know Alyssa knows. Well, there's only this hearing is from March of 2025. Apparently, there are 2 more hearings, or maybe 3 now. I think there was one today. But he's not using all this stuff. This is all like construction material and all that. He's not doing that. He's not. So these vehicles are for somebody else. Like is some construction, or some independent contractors just like saying, here, take my stuff. It would cost me $1,000 a month to store it someplace else. But for you, because but for you, it'll, I'll pay you $500. And then he just plays games with them to not pay the tickets. Is it like that kind of arrangement? Or is this just straight mental illness hoarding? I got to have stuff. And there's no logic to it at all. He certainly doesn't need all these vehicles for his personal use. Oh, no. There's there's no finishing. There's no finishing with Mr. Lau. There will be none of that. This case will go on forever. Okay. Well, apparently we're gonna get some. We're gonna get some. All right. We're getting. Yeah, all the stuff looks used up. All this stuff looks like it certainly had utility and value at some point, but just not at its age. Everything we're talking about is old and used up. I'm not saying it couldn't function or you couldn't make it. You know, when he got a vehicle towed because it's not operable, that's all you need to know right there. You're not using it. There's no utility for you. So either someone's paying you to keep it there, which I doubt because it's not valuable enough to do that for, or you're just crazy and you just like to accumulate stuff. All right. Well, that's it. Busy day. That's all I got in me. But I think we have another 2 or 3 hearings left. But fear not. I don't think this case will ever end. I don't think we'll ever see the end of Mr. Lau. Thanks for coming out. Behave yourselves. I'm not bailing you out.